Okay, we're getting ready to go live right quick. Hold on. Y'all look so cute. Okay, we got some more people waiting. Hold on. Hold on. Y'all look so cute. Okay, we got some more people waiting. Hold on. Hold on. Y'all look so cute. Okay, to everybody that is just now tuning in, be sure to have your mics on mute right quick so we can do this quick introduction. All right. Hold on just a second.
Greetings, this is Joshua Lorenz, President of the Metro Atlanta Association of Professionals. Are you looking to expand your business, seeking employment connections, or are you looking to grow your professional network? Then this is the organization for you. We are Atlanta's first and oldest business association for professional members of the LGBT community and our allies. We've been at the cutting edge of making sure you meet the right professional connections to take your career to the next level. For more information about membership and being part of our legacy, visit our website at www.maapatl.org. Once again, that's maapatl.org. Looking for networking? There's a map for that. We look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Greetings, this is Jim Farmer, Festival Director of Out on Film. Since 1987, Out on Film has been dedicated to supporting the exhibition of LGBT film and video art forms with top-rated films, intimate settings, audience participation, and special celebrity events, which gives moviegoers and sponsors a way to connect and extend a 90-minute film into a lasting relationship. For more information about film submission, the history of the festival, and how to donate or sponsor, please visit outonfilm.org. That's outonfilm.org.
Meak Productions is proud to be an official media partner for this organization. You're tuned in to Meak Productions syndicated shows, now celebrating its 10th anniversary. We present to you a new episode of our #1 LGBT community news outlet, Meak Pro Media Special Edition, starting right now. One, two, three, and we're live once again. Greetings to our listening audience and our viewing audience, and thank you so much for tuning in to a special quarantine edition of Meak Pro Media Special Edition News. This is part 2 of our virtual conversation, COVID-19 and the effects that it's having on the LGBTQ plus community and gay prides across the country. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in, and we have a new slew of online guests that's going to be with us on this evening. I want to give them a shout out right now. I want to give a shout out to DJ Ephraim Adamz is in the house. And let me make sure I unmute everybody so y'all can say hello. I want to give a shout out to DJ Ephraim Adamz. I want to give a shout out to Sister Jamie Ferguson, who's the Executive Director of Atlanta Pride Committee. I want to give a shout out to the professional shit fixer. I want to give a shout out to Imani Vanzap. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also want to welcome the return of one of the co-executives of Atlanta Black Pride Inc., Terrance Stewart. And I also want to give a shout out to the founder of Our Community Involved. He finally had a chance to make it on this particular broadcast. I want to give a shout out to returning guest Tyai Green. We interviewed him more than once before in the past during our tenure here online media. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and just so excited to have you all to continue this discussion about how COVID-19 has affected our LGBTQ plus community. And I kind of want to give a brief synopsis about what we talked about on last night. We talked about some very important issues and very important points was actually mentioned on last night. I know we covered how during this COVID-19 pandemic, how there's been a lot of things that's been affecting the LGBT community directly, how a lot of right-wing politicians have actually taken this opportunity to try to pass some anti-LGBTQ laws within certain states and local governments. And we also talked about how certain prides, while some are canceling or postponing till a later date, some are canceling to the next year, and some are actually deciding to do virtual events, and how that is going to actually impact the community, how it's going to be actually different than from the normal events that we normally have. So I kind of want to continue that discussion from both the consumer end, the business end, community end, and in some cases, for those people that have any information, also want to talk about the political end as well. Let's kind of start, Ephraim, let's start with you, because I know as you was listening to last night's particular conversation, you was just finishing up, you had just told me you all was finishing up a protest in your city. By the way, for those of you that are viewing, he's actually located in Hartford, Connecticut. So tell us a little bit about what's been going on up there in Connecticut. First of all, how you doing? It's good to see you. Are you unmuted?
I should be unmuted. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. At first, I couldn't. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on up there with you.
I'm doing okay. We're hanging in there. So on the 20th, which was yesterday, we, I guess, on paper, passed the protocols to start reopening our state once the COVID-19 pandemic sees a certain amount of infections, new infections.
Mm-hmm.
We're on a, well, which I assume many states are on a 4-step program leveling system. So some of our 1-step leveling system businesses have opened. So we had a little debate downtown at our state capitol in Hartford, Connecticut. And, you know, people are very much on the fence. Our mall opened, in which 5 businesses within our mall, shopping mall plaza was allowed to open. So for the most part, I've stayed unbiased because I'm doing a virtual pride. And I just wanted to document what was going on, you know, in this moment and in this time. For me personally, I don't think it's wise to open back up. Schools are still going to be closed for the most part. Most businesses that are hands-on, including like beauty shops and local owned businesses, have been, you know, continue to stay closed. But they said if you want to open during this time, that is up to your discretion. And that's pretty much the debate in this area. Do we want to see this as something that's going to be a second wave of the COVID virus where more people are infected and, you know, kind of backtrack, you know, really that's the conversation. Do we feel like we're going to be backtracking 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or should we be staying home, you know?
Got you. Because I know as you was listening last night, and I'm glad that we have these different outtakes and stuff and different opinions and different conclusions that we have presented on this show, because last night we covered what's going on in the nation's capital in DC. We covered what's kind of going on here in Atlanta. We also covered what's going on in New York. So it's kind of good to see what's going on up there in Hartford. When did you all decide to actually do virtual? Because did you all decide to either try to see if you could postpone or cancel it, or did you decide to go virtual from the get-go when it came to y'all city's pride?
Okay, so my issue with that is virtual pride was established, at least here for Connecticut. We were in the middle of doing a statewide pride summit because we have 23 prides in each little small town. They have their own pride, which has grown over the past 30 years, okay? We used to have one central pride in my area, but that's, you know, through different outreaches, different means, different organizations, they do little sprinkled events here and there. So we were starting to have a pride summit in February to discuss how can all the nonprofits and organizations benefit from each other instead of working against each other and taking resources and things. So as we were in the middle of discussion of that, the COVID-19 hit, which was in March. So that discussion has been taking place on what it is that we want to do virtually. Luckily, I've been the one who has documented a lot of our Connecticut history and pride events in the past through
Mm-hmm.
different forms of video, social media, and things of that nature. But I think the biggest problem is going to be from here on is a lot of the organizations that host Pride has been behind on certain aspects of technology. They've never really integrated media and streaming into their regular programming, which is something that should have really been discussed in 2010, 2011, or even prior, you know? So I think the catching up and the relearning and re-educating ourselves is what's going to really be the determining factor, because just for me and my own business at home, I've already started planning for 2021, 22 and ahead, just to start integrating this new forms of technology and everything into what I'm doing. So that's going to be the biggest challenge.
I'm glad you brought that up because you're actually bringing up a lot of these smaller organized prides that are still in that particular state. Of course, our major prides, like coming from the major cities such as LA Pride, of course, here in Atlanta, New York City Pride and stuff, many of them were already kind of in, they were already kind of, they've already evolved with the times. They was already, ready or kind of, was already digital to some degree when it came to live coverage and stuff like that, but there was a lot of the smaller prides from the smaller cities that are not as advanced as some of the other major prides. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that is very important. Plus, it gives us as a community sort of an awareness of how we can better get involved and how we can better support those prides that may not be as established as the major prides. So I'm glad you brought that up. I want to go ahead and bring in Atlanta's own Pride. I want to give a shout out to Sister Jamie Ferguson, who's actually on the line right now. I'm going to see if I can unmute you right now. So glad to have you on board, girl. What's going on?
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I was able to tune in a little bit last night, and I'm happy to participate with you tonight.
I'm so glad to see you and everything because I know it's been some challenges with you on your end, both professionally and personally. So how has COVID-19 really been, how has it affected you personally? And also how has it affected the organization professionally on from your from your take and your input?
So for me personally, I think the two biggest ways I've been impacted are that I have had some loved ones who've gotten sick. And that's been challenging to manage. Actually, some of my Pride Network friends out of state who've gotten sick. And also with the schools closing, I've also been thrown into teaching second grade full-time as well as
wow.
my full-time day job. So that's been fun. You'll notice that I have a virtual background up because there is an 8-year-old, a dog, and a cat all running around me.
Okay.
And the flag's a little bit a little bit neater to look at. I think from a Pride perspective, the challenges for us is that being an October event, we are in the unknown and we're going to be in the unknown for a little while. And so we have not canceled Atlanta Pride. We are still planning. It's our 50th anniversary, so we're still planning. We're going to be ready to go. But we know that with the state of the world, it's entirely possible that we will have to cancel the in-person event. So we're also trying to work on alternatives and things that might take the place of the regular festival and parade, which for us is about a 400,000 person event. We have had some real success in getting our digital programming going the last couple of months. I have a fantastic digital media team that works with me. They're amazing. They can do things that I can't come anywhere near doing from that perspective. And we normally might see a couple of hundred people at our in-person events in the spring in a regular year. We have 4 or 5 events a month, every month. And last month we had over 15,000 that engaged digitally. So we've actually been able to get a lot more reach with our digital programming, and that's actually been good to see. But it's been a lot of work. It's been, it's like learning a brand new job while you're trying to do your old job.
I know. I can imagine. I can imagine. When did you all make the decision to actually go virtual? Was it right immediately after, or did you all kind of wait within like late March, early April during that period? Tell us a little bit about that development.
So our office has been, we went completely remote March 13th. So all of our staff have been working remotely since March 13th. And at that time, we made the decision to cancel all of our in-person programming through May and move it all online. Now we've canceled all in-person programming through July and moved it online. For the actual festival and parade itself, we'll make a final decision about 90 days out, unless the city helps us make a decision sooner. Right now, the city's been really good with working with us on continuing to plan so that if it's safe to gather in the fall, we're all ready to go. So they've been really good working with us right now. And so we expect that we'll continue to work closely with them.
Yeah, I know that the issue with a lot of events that's here in Atlanta, that everybody is kind of really waiting on the city of Atlanta to actually, to decide whether they're going to all start, opening up their special events division again so that they can offer permits again. So I know everybody's still kind of in limbo, even with people doing other events outside of the LGBTQ community. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I also know from a state level, I know our governor, I think he's supposed to be deciding to opening up the nightlife, nightclubs and bars and stuff like that, I think after the 31st, which means a lot of people are going to miss out on Memorial Day weekend. So that's kind of a challenge too as well. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Anything else that you want to add to this particular discussion before we move to the next topic?
The one thing I'll just say that has come out of this for me that has been really great is that we've been able to work really closely with other event organizers, prides all around the world, and also other big events here in Atlanta. And, normally I think we're all in our own silos so much that we don't communicate and talk about our struggles. And I think it's been really good to have those discussions and be able to do it, together, so that we're sharing tips and techniques, and when somebody gets a piece of inside information, we share it with everybody else. And so it's been nice to build those connections, and that's really been a real silver lining for me.
Yeah, because I just realized that not only is Atlanta Pride celebrating their 50th, I think San Francisco is 50 years old this year, and I think LA Pride
San Francisco, LA,
yeah, LA.
Boston, Atlanta, and Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I think you all are celebrating 50 years at the same time simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, we all started the year after the Stonewall riots, so
wow.
So that's how that happened. I think the last thing I'll say is one thing we're also weighing. It's one thing to say, can we have an event? Can we afford to have an event? Will the city let us have an event? We're playing a lot with the question, should we have an event? Just because
Absolutely.
we can do something doesn't mean we should do something. And so the last thing we want to do is bring our community members into an unsafe space or become a super spreader event, and particularly because our community is at higher risk for not having good health care and for, potentially being more immune compromised. So, we're not only looking at, is it possible? We're also looking at, is it the right thing to do?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we briefly talked about that last night, that one of the reasons why a lot of businesses are continuing to remain closed is because most of it has to do with the liability issue. And that not just health, but also the liability when you're dealing with other customers and when they come into your facility and everything like that. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is a big issue. Speaking of that, Terrance, did you want to actually come in to kind of continue on with that? Because I know we kind of briefly talked about that last night. Terrance Stewart from Atlanta Black Pride Incorporated. How you doing again tonight?
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing this evening? So, yeah, that's kind of like the same position that Atlanta Black Pride is taking right now is, we are watching the numbers. We are still in that kind of wait and see mode. We are in that Labor Day kind of time frame. And so based on his press conference today, I'm not sure when he's going to decide to reopen the nightlife, bars and things of that nature. Seems a little skeptical about that. He did give some people a green light if they're serving food, the restaurants and things of that nature. So I know Bulldogs is going to reopen tonight with limited capacity. They have tables set out for about 4 to 6 people per table, and have sent out a mass communication pretty much saying that, they're recommending that you stop by during the daytime hours because you probably won't get in at night and there won't be a line outside of the establishment. So they're doing their protocols to try to keep that into play. But the same thing for Atlanta Black Pride, you know, we're in that wait and see window. And the thing about it is, do we have an event and are we going to become a super contributor? And so like we talked about last night, we've talked about doing some things virtual, the Film Fest, Lit Cafe, but then there are some things you can't do virtually that you want to do in person, the Speak Fire event, the fashion show, things of that nature. And then if we hold those events, how do we effectively socially distance everyone so that people are not on top of each other? And so those are the things that we're also kind of looking at. From the media standpoint, we have several pieces of technology in play that will allow us to stream on multiple channels at multiple times. So we've already invested in that technology. We started investing in that technology a few years ago, but we have it all up and running at this point. So it's just kind of manning those channels and getting things going. So if we do everything virtually, we're ready to be able to stream it via Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, live stream, and all those outlets.
Thank you so much for talking about this, because I was really wondering what was going to happen for not just Memorial Day weekend, but also going towards the summer, because I know I actually saw one advertisement from one known Atlanta club promoter, and I think one of his clubs is actually in Fayetteville, because one of the things, for those of you that are viewing, there's Atlanta and then there's Metro Atlanta. And when we talk about Metro Atlanta, we're talking about the other smaller cities, the other smaller cities within our metropolitan areas, because we got the city of Decatur, city of East Point, city of College Park, we got the city of South Fulton, we got the city of Sandy Springs, Brookhaven. We have all of these other surrounding smaller cities, of course, Marietta, Smyrna, Douglasville. And so each one of the mayors in those smaller cities may be operating in a different fashion versus what Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms in the city of Atlanta is doing. So I kind of want to know, what is you all's take on that? Because I know when I saw this particular club promotion, advertising something going on for Memorial Day weekend, I said, okay, they must be at a venue that actually has a restaurant. And there must be in a different city where their mayor may be kind of more lenient on shelter in place or what have you, or they may be slowly opening up businesses more quicker than other cities and stuff. So anybody can actually take their, can give their input on that for those people that's from the Atlanta area. Imani Vanzap, you can add your 2 cents on this. And of course, Ty Green, if you want to join in, come on in.
I think that I've noticed going around the city that a lot of the surrounding areas, as you said, have been operating pretty much trying to be cohesive. From a political standpoint, I don't think a lot of people were trying to go too far against the grain when it comes to business and their customers. A lot of the businesses are falling in line with what the city of Atlanta, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, rules were just following in place. I think because she took such a forefront position within the nation to ensure that the city was safe, they followed in line with that because the fact that they wanted to be in alignment. I've seen businesses that, like Terrance said, there are some businesses that are operating, that have been operating this time because they had food service, which was a major coup for those businesses that had food service, because they were still able to have some form of income come in to their businesses. And for a lot of them that did not, it's going to be really rough. It's going to be, the new normal is got to be a new marketing strategy for all of those clubs and promotions and things like that. Atlanta is known for being an entertainment capital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes with us not being able to be so vivid in our entertainment and so close in our proximity of our entertainment. So it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to take a lot of new ideas. It's going to take a lot of new introspect. And just going to take a lot of new patience for the for the patrons, because it's something, like you said, it is summertime. We're used to going to sit on the patio at Joe's, or, we're used to, packing out the patio over at Einstein's or wherever it is. And that's just not going to be the way that it is anymore. And so it's going to be very, very interesting. I think this pandemic has caused people to kind of reevaluate how they utilize their spare time and their entertainment time. More people are going to the parks, more people are riding bikes, more people are going back to things that are a little bit more basic, and more people are definitely tuning into Zooms and digital entertainment as opposed to going out, because they know that they just can't go out and with that and not have that sense of safety anymore.
Absolutely. And Eric, I want to bring you, I'm sorry, Imani, I want to bring you into this.
Wait a minute. I know that I'm on Eric's Zoom, but I don't have my own. So that's why my name is not appropriate. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute.
I was going to catch you. Wait a minute. Don't make me bring them out.
Oh, I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you involved in this discussion, because I also want you to talk about this particular topic from a consumer standpoint, because I know we briefly mentioned it last night about how when it comes to the Pride and when it comes to any LGBTQ related summer events, spring and summer events, that it's going to be kind of challenging for the organizations and the businesses, because I can imagine that they are not going to get as much revenue that they are normally expecting to get doing these two seasons, doing spring and summer seasons, as Ty just recently briefly mentioned. So we got a lot of people that's going to really kind of be managing their coins now and stuff like that. So I'm going to get to those of you that represent the prior organizations in a minute to get your input about, how do you all feel about any financial challenges that may come up? But we're going to get to that in a minute. But Imani, go ahead and kind of give your input about, what we've already discussed so far.
My perspective on all of this is probably more from the creative aspect of it, where more people are talking about, the organizations and the preparation steps and all of the things that we're used to experiencing. I'm probably more about the actual in-house experience. What I think is good about all of this is that this is challenging us now to focus on the quality of an experience versus the quantity of an experience. I can't tell you how many times I've been to things where there's 1,000 people and I was ready to go as soon as I got there. I'm telling you, and so we're looking at things and saying just because there are a lot of people that are here that it was a good time, and that's not necessarily the case. So I think that we can look at this either glass half empty or glass half full. I choose the latter, because I think that now is a time where we can say, okay, what am I actually offering? What am I putting out into the world? What am I putting out into the land of consumption? What am I doing? What am I giving? And I think that we're now having to get to a point to where we have to be more mindful of, is the entertainment value that I'm providing, is it nutritious? It can be entertaining. Everything that is entertaining is not nutritious. And I think that we're seeing that now. We're seeing it with the way that when this thing swept through, how it snatched people off the TV. There are no concerts anymore. Everything that we were using to quantify by numbers, because we're a capitalistic country, we don't have those measures anymore. So what are you giving? So again, we can look at it as being a negative thing and, operating from a space of fear. Or we can look at this and say, you know what? New normal, new schmormal. I'm going to get out there, enjoy myself. I want to be smart about it. But the things that I engage in, the way that it's fashioned, is it better for me? We went to an event of a friend's just last week, and it was, socially distancing encouraged. But there were fewer people that were there. And what I'm finding is people are having more conversations now, like we're doing here. This is, if we really want to be honest, people are tuning into more of these Zoom talks than they are regular TV programming. So right now is a time for all creators to step up their game and really get into this new normal and let it work for you.
You know what? We're going to talk about the effects that this pandemic is having on the creative industry in just a few moments. That's why I'm glad that you talked about this. Let's finish out the financial challenges with the gay prides right now. I'm going to go to you, Jamie, next. Did you all kind of anticipate that you all, for example, because you all are in the fall And like I said, you know, you may or you may not be able to have an actual real live event based on, you know, what the city of Atlanta does. But have you all kind of anticipated that you might not receive the financial revenue that you normally would get every year, you know, when you all conduct your pride?
Absolutely. So for us, we have over 80 public facing programs a year, but 75% of our revenue comes from the festival one way or another. So the festival pays for everything we do all year round. That's why we're able to offer our year-round programming at no cost. So yes, you know, I'm following really closely a lot of the Georgia Center for Nonprofits and the Center Chronicle Philanthropy research right now that shows that fundraising across the sector is expected to be down at least 30 to 40%. So we're planning for fundraising to be down at minimum 30 to 40%. And if we don't have a festival, we're planning for our budget to be down close to 75% because that's, you know, that's the money that comes from the festival. So we're definitely looking at all of that. We're really lucky that in the last 4 or 5 years, we've built up a savings account. And
Absolutely.
So we have, you know, I haven't had to cut any of my staff and I haven't had to cut any of my contractors, and, you know, and we've been able to pay the bills that we need to pay to secure the vendors for the festival in case we're able to do that. So we're very lucky that we've been in the financial position to do that. And that, you know, we're going to survive this, but it's going to look a little bit lean, probably, you know, and, you know, which, you know, honestly, I think that's a chance for creativity. You know, we're a resilient people, we're creative people, and, you know, it's nice to have, you know, expensive entertainers and things for free in the park, but, you know, but that's really, you know, our mission is not to put on a concert. That is not the mission of our work. Our mission is to promote unity and visibility and wellness in our community. And so, you know, how do we do that with less money? And I think it, you know, it doesn't always cost a lot of money to do that. So, so yes, we're expecting it to be a little leaner. How much just depends on what happens. But, you know, I think that ultimately we'll be better from having to learn that. And then, you know, in a year or two, we can get a little bit more money and throw another big party. But, you know, I think we're going to learn some things throughout this.
Absolutely. Ephraim, you want to actually add on your end as far as what's going on up there in Hartford, Connecticut? Because I know that I know you talked about earlier that you all had already had some plans on unifying a lot of the pride organizations and other LGBT nonprofits within that particular area. But I know you also had to, you know, count in the actual loss of potential revenue that's going to be affecting the upcoming prides and stuff like that. So kind of go a little bit into y'all's development with that, Ephraim.
Right. So what you're looking at right now, and I'll be honest with you, in Connecticut, a lot of the queer spaces were not doing very well. The bars here are not like they are in Atlanta or another big capital city for entertainment and nightlife. So it wasn't so much that COVID affected us very hard, but it is speeding up the process of a dying industry in this area. There was a lot of foreclosures, gentrification, and things of that nature. I've been lucky enough to document the last few years of our experience. So that's essentially what's going to be the major portion of the virtual pride that I'm working on here. From a financial perspective, just to answer your question, we are going to be looking into ways to gather some virtual vendors. It's just a matter of figuring out who we're reaching, who exactly is going to be watching, and people who are going to invest their money in any type of virtual event really want to know who's going to be seeing their ad, who's going to be seeing their advertisement, and a lot of same things that you take over from your regular television and broadcasting. They want to know which demographics are going to be utilizing this information, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're, you know, selling t-shirts. It doesn't matter really what it is, but anything virtually related, we're just trying to secure sponsors as an extra form of income virtually. And just a little self promo here. I'll just go through it real quick so you can go on to the next person. anyone, doing a virtual Pride, I would definitely say that you should start now. Even if you're not going to do something for this year, you should start working on content for next year and the following year, because once things like this happen, it's going to be integrated into the future, no matter if things revert back to the way that they were. So I'm just going to be including a few locals, some of my experience at World Pride last year in New York. And just another little bit more advice, if you go to Global Pride 2020, Interpride, which is the same organization that hosts World Pride, if you are a Pride organization around the nation, you can submit some of your content to them. And that will be a 24-hour streaming event taking place on the 28th of June. So a portion of our virtual event will be a part of their virtual event to kind of unify country and then unify other nations. Okay, so make sure you check out Global 2020 Pride if you're working on anything. And if you're going to be recording anything for your virtual Pride, now is the time to get out there before things get worse or better. We don't know the future. So if you have any opportunities to record some interviews, link up with some drag queens, get their Venmo accounts, help them out on the tip, anything like that, go for it. All right.
Yeah, we're going to actually talk about the impact that this is having on the creative community as well. But I'm glad that you shared all this information, because I know those other Pride organizations that are tuning in to this particular broadcast right now, this will give them ideas on how they can actually prepare themselves for what's to come. Because even like you just said, even when we come out of this pandemic, we still got to have as a backup, what if something like this happens again? So at least we will already be prepared. So, okay, if there's another pandemic, we already know what to, revert to when that happens. Terrance, you want to go ahead and add something to this before we continue?
Yeah, so much like the other Pride organizations, Atlanta Black Pride do rely on sponsorships for the Pride. But one of the things last year that we started doing with the whole rebranding that we did last year is we started seeking additional funding outside of Pride. So we have some grants and some things of that nature that we did receive awards for. I challenged my team at the end of Pride or going into the Pride season, whatever awards we got from sponsorships, we needed to make sure that we had a percentage of that set aside for future investment. And so at the end of Pride last year, we did invest what's a portion of what was left over into some CDs and stocks and things of that nature, so that nobody knew 2020 was going to lead to this. But we do know that over the past few years, sponsorships have dried up. They have not been as large as they have been in the past. And so from that history, you set yourself a little bit different on your financial road down the way. I've been involved in the Atlanta Black Pride for almost 10 years. And I can tell you there have been years where we ended Pride and we paid all the bills with no money in the bank. There's been years that we ended Pride and we ended in red. Last year we ended Pride in black with money in the bank and money in investments. And we take some of that stuff and we reinvest in it this year, because again, we started looking at sponsorships in January of this year. A lot of companies will tell you that, oh, it's too early, hit us back in April, hit us back in March. Well, now we're in May. And a lot of companies are dealing with the backlash of, we haven't made profits because people have been locked in their house. We don't have the money that we usually get. And so as Amber stated on last night, as opposed to looking at some of the bigger ones, we're going to be targeting small businesses to figure out how we can partner together with the small business entertainment communities here in the city of Atlanta. And it may not necessarily equate to a dollar amount. It may just equate to advertising and being posted on the media outlets and things of that nature. So this is one of those years where prides across the board, I think, are going to feel the financial hardship, especially if they're used to getting the big dollars and that's all they get, or they're used to getting money that comes in from their festivals and things of that nature. We know people travel to Atlanta for Atlanta Black Pride. People won't pay their rent to come to Atlanta Black Pride. They won't pay their car notes to come to Atlanta Black Pride.
That goes
Well,
to any pride, to be honest. I mean, we can talk about all of these prides, to be honest with you. If somebody is going out of town to go to somebody's pride.
Right. They're not paying something to get to a pride event. And it'll be interesting this year to see how that pans out, because I know a lot of individuals who are furloughed, who are unemployed at the present moment, and they are relying on the extra money that the federal government is giving them to make their ends meet. So it'll be interesting to see who actually turns out, how many out-of-towners we get versus local folk at both Pride events, not just Atlanta Black Pride, Atlanta Pride, and all the other, the Gwinnett County Pride, all of that. It'll be interesting to see the number of out-of-towners that we get. The hotels here are cramming. They're just trying to get people to book rooms.
Okay.
You know, there's a time when you could not book a room during Labor Day weekend, the first October Pride. There are times that you just can't book anything because things are, you know, already filled up. Dragon Con is in the same boat as the Prides are this year. You know, their parade has been canceled. That's one of their biggest events. And so they haven't sold all of their hotel rooms. So it's going to be interesting to see the people that actually come from out of town to attend the event versus the local folk. And then if we can get the local folk out, we need you to come out consistently. Don't let the out of towners subdue you next year because, you know, we may have found a cure or a vaccine or something else has come along besides COVID-19, COVID-20 at that point.
Right.
Lord forbid. Lord forbid. Okay. This is a great way to go into our next segment. Let's talk about the creative end. Eric, see?
Imani Vanzap.
You need to hurry up and change that name.
I know.
On the Zoom, okay?
I need to. Eric is always doing his thing. I don't get a chance to come out here much.
Okay.
Make an adjustment. I talk more than he does.
Okay, but I want you to actually bring in this next segment when we talk about how this pandemic has affected the creatives within our LGBTQ community, because I know that a lot of our talents, because by us having a talent agency, and I know DJ Ephraim Adamz, I know you've actually DJ'd and performed at other prides as well, so I know you can chime in on your end. But I want you all as creative people yourself to actually talk about how do you feel that this pandemic has affected the creative industry? Because I know a lot of people that are expecting to be booked to perform or to host at some of these events at prides and stuff. Now that's either up in limbo, that's either canceled, that's either postponed and stuff like that. And a lot of people who are full-time in the arts industry, who make their money in the arts for a living, they're going to be kind of like in jeopardy. They're challenged right now. So kind of talk a little bit about that from you all's perspective.
It's about, for me, having foresight. And I think a few people said this, earlier, that none of us saw this coming. It took, everybody was talking about that 2020 is gonna be, I'm living my best life, and
okay,
guys, the manna from heaven gonna rain down, and the doors are gonna open up, and now we're all stuck inside with the doors locked, right? So it scared everyone. We didn't know that this was coming, and it really was a shock. One thing I will say is that from my side of the tracks, the people that I know that create, be it part-time or full-time, they're finding other ways. So there are a lot of the drag queens that are, here in Atlanta, and what they're doing is that, for those that are able, they're performing online. So they've done much like what I have here. They've set up a space where they can actually go out and perform. Where they can be in and perform, and then put up their cash app so people can tip them that way. They've just reinvented it. And that's what you have to do. A lot of the DJs, they're DJing from home now. It's content creators. We've always been creating from home, but now we're able to do a little bit more. More people are willing to do interviews and collab videos and things like that. One thing that was interesting, my nephew Eric, he does a lot of what we do here. Okay. And with him, basically, what was really, really funny about it, we had a lot of content that we were already working on in the beginning of the year. Didn't know that this was going to happen. I would say probably maybe a good 40 videos that were just literally banked up, like Jamie was saying earlier, having to bank up that power with that. And then once this hit, it was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity. So then we just started releasing videos, basically how networks do. So what I think is happening is where a lot of creators are used to working in the moment, we are now having to think like the major corporations. So you're having to come up with content that's going to last. It doesn't have to be famine if you plan it the right way.
Absolutely.
Everything that is nice is not a necessity. So we've got to reimagine what that is. Be able to kind of like stretch things out a little bit. A lot of performers, and they're learning this now. I think it was Gabrielle Union, if I'm not mistaken, that said that, a lot of performers, and sadly, a lot of Black performers, they're 1 or 2 paychecks away from everything crashing to the ground. We should not be living like that anyway. COVID-19 or not, we should not be living like that. So we've got to get ahead of the gun, if you will, get ahead of the wheel, get ahead of all of the calamities, or like we said, COVID-20 or COVID-47. We don't know what's coming. And with this administration we got, we don't know. Listen.
Sure enough.
Okay.
That's why we got to get out and vote, y'all, in November. I mean, even with the primaries in June, we got to get out and vote. Okay.
I mailed it in, just said yes. So we don't know what's coming with this president that we've got now, or whatever you want to call him. We don't know what's happening. We'll be in our houses for sure until we get a new president. So we've got to find a way, because there's so much uncertainty, to figure out what tomorrow looks like. And we are the captains of our souls. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've got to look at. Look ahead.
Absolutely. Jamie, I know you all had some successes when you all started to do things more virtually, that you all started presenting a lot of local entertainers and some of the entertainers that was already scheduled to perform at the upcoming Pride in the fall. You've started to present them virtually. So kind of tell us a little bit about that, and then Ephraim, I'm gonna go to you.
Yeah, so I just want to say we're really lucky that last year we engaged a wonderful digital media team, Crown Cultivation Media, Black queer-owned media team
All right.
here from Atlanta, who started working with us last year at the festival and doing a lot of video that thankfully we're able to use now. We're able to put that video out now. And so we were lucky to have a team in place who, could move to that right away. And I also hired a staff member at the beginning of April who is focused exclusively on our programming and also equity issues. So one thing that's important for us as an organization that is, larger and been around a little while and has a little more access to capital is that we're paying the people that we're not charging for the online programming we're doing, but we are paying the people who are giving their time.
Wow.
Awesome. To be
Awesome.
completely honest, that's not sustainable forever.
I know.
So if times get hard, we might not always be able to do that. But one of my core values that I live by, and that at Pride we stand by, is that we pay people for their time when we're able to, particularly when we're talking about people who are from marginalized or multiply marginalized communities. We know that our people are across races and genders more likely to live in poverty than heterosexual folks, but particularly Black trans women, who are a lot of the entertainers that are working with us and doing segments, and people of color and folks with trans experience of all kinds. And so it's really important to us to show that, not just say we value those people's time and their effort, but to show it. So that's been really successful. We've built some great relationships there. And people have really picked it up. We've got everything from a cocktail hour where you can learn how to make your own mixers at home, to a gardening show, to yoga, to DJ sets. We're doing Netflix movie nights
Yes.
with Out on Film, where we're getting the directors to come and chat with us. And our team is just being incredibly creative, and it's been really seamless for us. And I'm going to say, I just feel really lucky that we put the team in place that we did last year, because if we did not have them, I would not have been able to produce that.
Absolutely.
So we just wouldn't have that presence. So, we'll call some of it foresight and just, smart growth, but I don't call some of it luck too.
Okay.
We're trying to live within our values, even within this paradigm, right? Like by paying people and honoring their work. And, ultimately we're going to run out of money at some point and we won't be able to do that. But for as long as we're able to, that's the values that we're trying to live.
Awesome. Ephraim, you want to go ahead and add your piece into this before we actually end, because we did a wonderful segment tonight. Yeah, I mean, just like we did last night, man, we've been on the money. So, and we're also gonna, I just thought about it, we're going to actually add a political version of this particular discussion, because I actually want to hear from some of the politicians, from not just our LGBTQ politicians that are running this year, but I also want to hear from some of our politicians who are real straight allies. Okay, notice I said real straight allies. Okay, so because they have a track record of supporting the community over the years of their political career. So, but Ephraim, go ahead and talk about, because I know you've kind of mentioned before that you was already at the forefront of doing things digitally anyway, because that's part of your career, you being a DJ, you being a performing artist yourself. So kind of tell us a little bit about your experience with being, with preparing.
My main thing currently is trying to keep my ear to the ground of what's trending and current ways of innovation that people have really been utilizing. You have a few drag queens that are actually doing drive-through drag shows, similar to how you would in the early 80s at a drive-in theater.
Mm-hmm.
So they say that everything comes back. It's just a matter of need and necessity. So I thought that that was very, very creative, that, they found a parking lot and everyone pulled up to do a drive-in drag show. I also just want to mention that in terms of streaming and reality television and RuPaul's Drag Race and some other things were not one of the options for some of the more local entertainment. Not everyone's going to get discovered on a television show or become famous in a network film. So this is a good time for us as a community to discover local talent and support local talent that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise,
Absolutely.
other than the virtual internet. I've been DJing for 16 years, and my time was already up anyway. So I'm really enjoying discovering new queer people that are on the rise and doing their thing. Now it's just a matter of finding a platform for the people, discovering how can that platform be profitable, and monetizing our audience so that we can continue and move forward for the next event. So my advice is just try to be as innovative as possible. When doing a virtual event, try to capture your audience as quickly as possible. Keep the public speaking to a minimum, although you do want it to be educational and informative. You want to keep that flow going so that you don't lose your crowd and things of that nature. So that's what we're really working on for our project. For our project is to how can we keep our audience engaged while still giving them the resources and information that they need, and how can that appeal to a investor that's going to invest in what you're putting out there during this time.
Thank you so much for your input on that. And I'm very, very proud, especially of you, Imani Vanzap, who's blowing up. I mean, I love what she's doing right now, especially with the new connection that you have with the new reality series, Chasing Reality. We're both, Chasing Dallas now. Chasing LA is coming up, and then of course, they've always had Chasing Atlanta. But I'm so proud of all of you that you all are actually, using the digital platform to actually build your brands as well. And I'm glad that Ephraim mentioned about how, since we have two Pride representatives here, because I know one of the complaints that a lot of LGBT artists always say is that these Prides are so focused on paying for the mainstream artists, but what about the local artists? So it's good to hear some of about LGBT artists talk about that. And it's good now that, at least our Prides are actually really, focusing on the local talents and stuff, which is something that we've always tried to do. Because do a little plug myself. Coming this fall will be the 10-year anniversary of our LGBT music radio show, the Various Artists Talent Showcase. And what we're planning to do is a virtual LGBT concert of all of the artists that we featured over the years, over the 10-year span of the LGBT music radio show. And we also going to be doing a 10th anniversary concert of all of our music artists that's registered with the Meak Productions Talent Agency. So I know that's going to be something that we're going to be doing to support our full-time artists within the LGBTQ community. And so please stay tuned for that, for those of you that are viewing and watching, for that information on how you can be a part of that. Any closing statements? I'm going to start with you. I think we had Ty Green on, but I think he probably had to leave. But I am going to bring him back because I think he would be a perfect candidate as we talk about the political aspect of the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects on the LGBTQ community. And so we're going to talk more on a political standpoint as far as those who are actually running for office this time, both LGBTQ as well as our straight allies. So please stay tuned for that. We have to do a part 3, y'all, because this conversation is just getting good. It's just getting started, baby. But I know, Imani, I want you to actually kind of give us a little closing statement, and I'm going to ask the closing statement from each one of you all panelists. Thank you all so much once again for participating. But I'll go ahead and start with you, Imani.
Yeah, just with me. First of all, I want to say I'm really happy to see that we have so much creativity in the room. I would love to collaborate with some of you. Let me know. Let's talk. Let's talk. Okay. Let's do that. I'm really interested in what we've been talking about tonight. The main thing for me is just I am all about one thing, and that is that I want everyone out there to become what? Stronger. And it's important. It's one shimmy a day. Okay, we'll keep poverty away. All right. So I just want to basically just encourage everyone to just reach down within. Don't look at this so much as a setback as much as it can be a setup for something better. So it's all about your perspective. Take the parts that are there. If they're broken, rearrange them. Turn the wig around, as they said. In Dreamgirls, isn't that what they said? Turn it around. So this is COVID-19 is going to challenge us to turn the wig around. So let's do that. That's all.
Okay, Jamie, you want to go ahead?
I think I said most of what I needed to say, but I think that one thing we have going for us as a queer community is that we have a long history of taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think there's absolutely kind of race and class and gender dynamics even within the community about that, with folks having to be extra resilient. But I think that we're going to get through this by being creative and learning how to stick together, because we can't necessarily depend on other people to take care of us. And so I have full faith that we're going to get through this and we're going to figure it out, and it's just going to require a little bit of compassion and a little creativity to make it.
Awesome. Terrance, you want to go ahead and add your final thoughts?
So part 2 was definitely more intense than part 1. I can't wait for part 3. There's a lot of talent that's on tonight, especially Imani in her new role. Okay. Love her. From the LGBT standpoint, again, there's a lot of opportunity for us this year to kind of reinvent ourselves and things that we do, or to move away from what we've done in the past and move to a new kind of segment per se. And this whole COVID epidemic will help that. There are going to be some people in our community that are not able to adjust, and we're going to have that responsibility of helping them kind of adjust and move forward in the way things are done now versus what we did in 2018. Social distancing is here to stay for a while. It's not going anywhere. And so even, our nightlife partners and things of that nature. One thing you did say, you mentioned local talent. Atlanta Black Pride has always reached out to local talent throughout the years to have them on stage at events and perform and things of that nature. And that's one of the things that we're going to continue to do, even if we have to do it virtually.
Awesome. And finally, DJ Ephraim Adamz in the house. I'm so glad to have you online, man. And thanks for tuning in to last night's part 1 of our discussion too. So give us a closing statement, bro.
Oh, thank you. Well, same to you for supporting me over the years, virtually as well. With me always up here in Connecticut and you down further in the South. But I do just want to say that now that things are going to be streaming more so online and showcasing more things on the internet, we should also be aware that we're not just going to be reaching those that are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Anyone can go on now and see what it is that you've put together, how we speak to one another, what type of imagery that we're putting out there. So I think it's also important in that respect that, organizations take that into consideration because, now any friend or foe can come into our online space, our safe space, essentially, So just keep that in mind. And thanks for having me. And look out for New England Virtual Pride, which is going to be on Father's Day morning, June. Okay, so just type in New England Virtual Pride. It'll pop up on Facebook and YouTube. Check it out. It's gonna air midnight to 3, while people are awake, how they would usually be at a bar on a Saturday night. And then it'll air from 12 noon to 3 p.m. in the afternoon for those who like to wake up out of bed late. So keeping all those things into perspective, the best viewing times, best viewing hours, and look out for it.
All right, Ephraim, man, love you so much. And I'm so proud of everything that you all are doing up there in Hartford, Connecticut. And of course, we're going to stay in touch. Speaking of plugs and stuff, Imani Vanzap, go ahead and tell everyone how they can view you and everything that you got going on during this pandemic online.
You got it. I'll keep it short. Not forgot my manners in the beginning. My name is Imani Vanzap, and I'm here to help you fix your shit. Okay, that's what I do. All right. Feel free to go and visit my website at imanivanzap.com. All right. And also my online boutique at Imani Vanzap Boutique as well. I am the resident commentator for, as Nico was saying, Chasing Reality series. So I'm on Chasing Dallas. I'll be going to Chasing LA and then coming back to Atlanta. So just everything imanivanzap.com. I made it very easy for you. So Facebook, Instagram, everything. Go to Imani Vanzap and I'll stay in contact with you. All right.
All right, baby. And we're going to keep in contact with you too, because we got to talk about some future stuff to get you involved in as well.
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. And Jamie, let me come back to you because I know y'all got some things coming up with your yearly programming, if I'm not mistaken. What's the next thing that you all got coming up virtually?
Oh, this is a test. The best way to know this is to go to our Facebook page, which is Atlanta Pride Facebook page. We've got a sound bath coming up. Just as a quick teaser, we haven't announced it yet, but we've got a big concert coming up at the end of June that's going to be streaming, as well as some ways to promote the small businesses that were in the community. We're going to do a give back to them. So we've got a couple of things going every week. I think there's a movie night next Monday, free to sign up with the directors. So it's a packed program, but check out our Facebook page or sign up for our newsletter. It's the fastest way to get all of that information.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I think next week, because we're involved with Out on Film, we've been involved with them, I think, for the past 6-7 years. So I think that's a special film that they're doing. That's going to be on Memorial Day holiday.
Yeah, we're doing that talk back. That talk back is Monday night. The director's going to, the movie's It's Divine. We're going to have some folks doing commentary with it. Free to sign up, but you must sign up because we've been filling up that platform. It's been sold out every time we've done it. So, awesome. Once again, thank each and every one of you for participating in our part 2 virtual discussion of COVID-19 and its effects on the LGBTQ community and gay prides across the country. Once again, for those of you who have been following us, thank you all so much for your support. We're celebrating 10 years of online media. So please visit our website at www.meakproductions.com. That's MEAK. Productions with an S.com. And we're also under that same moniker on all social media from Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, baby. We got you covered, all right? And please stay tuned for our upcoming release of our 3rd chapter of Suit and Tie Black and White, which is our limited talent agency campaign. We also have online showing right now our annual seasonal quarterly campaign, Spring Memorial. So that is up online right now. And we have posters and banners on sale of 4 of our talents who are celebrating their 5th anniversary with the agency. So please check us out, spring.meakproductions.com. Until our next show, you all, continue to stay safe, continue to practice social distancing. Know that we love you. We appreciate you. We're grateful to the creator of the Omniverse for your existence. Thank you all so much to our panelists for tuning in, and we hope to see you all soon. Love y'all. Go ahead and end this with some music. That's what you told me about me.
Love me is what she told me, caress me. Bless me is what she told me to love me.